Well, for more, I'm joined on set by our international affairs commentator and fellow American, Douglas Herbert. Doug, hello.
Well, you gave away our deep, dark secret, right?
Our deep secret ahead of this exciting election season. Doug, this debate happening very early. Usually we don't have to deal with this until September.
Yeah.
Stakes feel very, very high this year.
Yeah, look, David Axelrod, he is a former Barack Obama strategist, and he said this may be one of the more consequential debates in modern U.S. history. Perhaps not an exaggeration. We are going to have about more than 7 in 10 voters, people who say they're going to vote, tuning in to this debate. Now, we heard in that report there that these are two men who do not hide their grave disliking of each other. They hate each other. They detest each other. What's interesting, though, there's going to be a lot of so-called hate watchers among the Americans tuning into this debate. And those are people, what I mean by hate watchers is people who do not like either candidate. They think they're too old, too chaotic, whatever. They wish they had other alternatives. And remember, when we talk about the election and people watching and the decision, while 70% of America may be watching this, there's only really a handful. A lot of those people have made up their minds. No matter what happens at this debate, it's not going to make a difference. A lot of people have made up their minds, and what they're really going after for is that handful of voters, especially in those battleground states, who might be inclined to change their minds. It is going to be a tough task. One former Republican strategist basically said that everyone who's watching this debate tonight among the Americans are just complete masochists. And what they mean by that is it is going to be very tough to watch. The expectations coming in between these two men, like I repeat, who hate each other, are extremely low going in. Hillary Clinton, wrote tonight that Donald Trump will be seen, wrote in a New York Times column, Donald Trump will be seen as having succeeded if he literally doesn't light himself on fire during the debate. Megyn Kelly, who was a moderator, journalist who moderated TV journals, who moderated a past Trump debate with Biden, basically said all that Biden needs to do is not die during the debate. I know it draws a chuckle, but it comes down this issue. Trump's temperament is going to be on debate tonight. People will be watching. Can he avoid being a chaotic, irrational madman in power? That dictator that he said he'd be on day one. People are going to be watching for Biden for signs of cognitive decline, the senility that the Trump campaign has spent endless time trying to paint him as completely just, on the decline, not up for the job. These are the main things they're going to be looking for. But like I said, low expectations for both men, a handful of people who haven't made up their minds, lots of people watching, a lot of them in these hate watchers for the debate. Biden will be trying to lay into Trump as the guy who watched the January 6th riot unfolding, the guy who basically is a convicted felon, expecting him to repeat that, a convicted criminal many times throughout the debate. And Trump is going to hammer away at all the issues he thinks Biden's vulnerable on, whether it's immigration, inflation, the so-called senility and cognitive decline. Trump quipped going into this, his campaign at a rally the other day, basically even suggesting Biden was going to be taking drugs going into this, saying he's going to be taking a shot in the butt of performance-enhancing drugs. That is how sort of nasty and low denominator this thing already is.
So usually we could expect to hear them yelling at each other a lot, except for this year that's not going to be the case. Yeah. Tell us more about this different format.
Well, they could basically do what you can't do for me right now, Steady here. They could mute, the moderators can mute the mics. You wish you could mute my mic right now. But no, there are actually strict rules. CNN is the private channel, which is actually being the moderator. It's not the American Electoral Commission that's overseeing this. And CNN has set some pretty stiff ground rules. Sure, both men have accepted the debate to come to the debate. That was unexpected a few months ago. We didn't know there was going to be a debate. There is going to be no studio audience. That's a departure from the debates in the past. You're not going to be hearing heckling or jeering for one side or the other. Like you said, there's going to be the ability to, when one person is not speaking, to shut off their mic to avoid the types of really aggressive, perhaps, interruptions that we've seen in past debates. Even Donald Trump has sort of admitted tongue-in-cheek that he might have been a little too aggressive in some of the debates in 2020. So perhaps to tone that down, there will be 2-minute responses, 1-minute rebuttals. There will be closing statements. There will be no opening statements. And the lecterns, the podiums at which they'll be standing, not sitting, they have to stand, standing, will be a regulation 8 feet apart. That is about a little over 2.5 meters, 8 feet apart. They could literally reach out and touch each other. I don't think they're going to try.
Be surprised if that happened. Doug, very, very briefly, is this debate going to make a difference?
It's easy for all of us. How many debates have we spoken about in past presidential campaigns? We stand here and we say, at the end of the day, who remembers anything? We're lucky if most debates have one memorable line. What makes this debate different, like you said, it's coming very early. But it's also a debate between two men who have not been seen together in public, as we heard in that report. They stay as far away from each other, really, publicly as they can, physically far away from each other, even as they dig into each other. This is why it's so consequential. This is why normally I would say, who's going to remember the debate? Is it going to make a difference 4 months ago? But it will set the tone for the cycle to come in the next weeks and even months, because if there's that second debate, there is a planned second debate. It's not going to happen until September 10th, about 2 months before the election. That's a lot of time off. So this debate could set the tone going out onto that campaign trail for weeks to come there. And there's going to be a lot of spin post-debate. A lot of people are saying it's not so important what happens during the debate, but what happens after the debate, how they spin at each side.
Yeah.